Hey guys, this is me starting to restart an old YouTube channel of mine from like 5 years back. Um, Basically, I am a writer, and I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I finally decided to talk to you guys in a different way, because I like writing stuff down on Tumblr, and I like putting stuff up on, Facebook and stuff like that, but I wanted to talk to you guys in kind of like a more personal way. So this time I'm doing a Q&A. You guys have asked some questions, and I'm going to try to answer them to the best of my abilities. Yeah, for you, those of you who don't know, it's like 11:30, so I'm super tired while doing this video, but I told you guys I would get it out today, so I'm going to try my best to get it out today. So for that reason, very minimal editing. It's just like basic scene cuts and stuff. So, first question. What are some things that people do in the U.S. to celebrate New Year's? This is from Benicius, because he asked the first time, so first asking gets first answer. Nothing really incredible. We get hammered, I guess. That is our tradition. There's nothing really crazy for New Year's traditions in the United States. Mostly it's just watching the ball drop on TV, making New Year's resolutions. If I don't know if this is a thing outside of the U.S. where we say what we're going to be doing for the next year, these wishes that we have, which nobody ever actually completes their New Year's resolution. They make these big eloquent plans about what they're going to do, and it never actually happens. But the most United States thing that we do is drinking, which is kind of shameful but pretty funny. This next one is a twofold question, looks like. So I'm going to answer them both at the same time. One was, how do you get inspiration for your characters? And two, have you based any particular characters on yourself or people in your life? Oh gosh. This is the mother-lode question. Absolutely, I have based on people in my life. Actually, ironically, this is such a cliche thing. A lot of people write books, and the main character of them is based off themselves, and I'm sorry, I went with the really lame thing, and that's exactly what I did. The main character was originally based off me. I gave him some random other name that started with a D at first, in the very first draft. It was a terrible idea. But this is the thing with my characters. I start to base them off people that I know, and then they just change completely. So, let me put it this way. The main character started off, A, with a different name, and B, started off as a Ravenclaw, and turned into a Slytherin. That's the best way I can put it. Yeah, I'm not going to say whether he's a villain or a hero. I want you guys to make the decision for yourself when you read, because I don't like stories where the main character is the hero all the time. That's kind of boring to me. So I do get the inspiration from people. But they change so much from when I start with them, to finally finishing them. For instance, my cousin asked me to make him a character in the book. And I did. I really did try. But by the end of the thing, the character had a different ethnicity, different gender, and different personality. The only thing that stayed was the curly hair. That's really it. That's the only thing. And some ADD. That was it. I don't try to do this. This just kind of happens. This is my problem. But I think to kind of continue on this one, because it's probably going to be the longest answer to a question of this series. I think everybody kind of bases their characters off somebody or something. You see somebody in like a coffee shop and you hear just something like tiny out of the blue, and maybe you think consciously, maybe you think subconsciously, that would be a good idea for a character. And we just kind of do that. And so I think, yeah, I do, and it does change a lot, but I think even the characters that I didn't intend to be based off somebody ended up being based off somebody, whether I was aware of it or not. Question 3. This is a simple one. Are audiobooks a viable substitute for reading in the lives of the busy? There's a simple answer for that, in my opinion. Yes, absolutely. That's actually how I read throughout the entire Narnia series. I loved the Narnia series, speaking of which. C.S. Lewis is my favorite author. Love him to death. Well, maybe not to death. If I find some terrible reason to dislike him, then I might. But as of right now, I don't. If you are so determined to read a book that you say, screw it, I'm not even going to be able to look at the pieces of paper, just somebody read it to me. That, to me, is a more determined reader than somebody who decides to sit down and read stuff. Because you are so busy, but you're so determined. That just I love that in people. But I wouldn't put that as a complete substitute because it's different from reading. Because you're going to automatically associate it with somebody else's voice. And when you're reading the book for yourself, you're reading it in your own voice. And that's why I kind of... I really like radio theaters, but it gives you less room for imagination. So I wouldn't suggest something like that. But I do think that audiobooks are a great idea. I do. Okay, fourth question. Yeah, fourth question. What genre did you read the most? That would be fantasy, definitely. I'm a huge fantasy nerd. I write fantasy too. I like a good thriller or horror every now and then, but it's mainly fantasy. Number 6. Have you read through the Bible this year? I said that you guys could ask me religious questions, and that's fine. That depends on your definition. Did I read through the entire Bible? No. As a Christian, I'm going to read the Bible pretty often. Simple fact. Or I'm going to try to. But I don't like to do the chapter a day or try to read through the Bible in 1 year. Because I feel like that downplays the Bible. I feel like if you're going to be reading something that's that important, you have to be reading it at a decent pace where you can understand what you're reading. The Bible is not a contest. You should not be using it for something like that. That's a terrible idea in my mind. It's got really important stuff in it, and you shouldn't do something like that. Unless you really get something out of it by reading it that fast. But I personally don't. I can't get much out of it without, like, blowing up my brain unless I'm reading so many verses a day, basically. So, for a really long answer to a really short question, yeah, I have read the Bible this year. But not the entire one. I have read a good decent amount of it, though. I am trying to do the chapter a day, even if I've split it up between the morning and the evening. So, yeah, I guess I could say that I did. Number 7. Have you incorporated anything Neil Gaiman into your work? Neil Gaiman? Simple answer, heck yes. For those of you who don't know, besides C.S. Lewis, Neil Gaiman is my favorite author of all time. I'm obsessed with his book, Ocean at the End of the Lane. It is fantastic. It is like a 60-pound box in a 200-page container. It is... blows my mind every single time. Ocean at the End of the Lane was actually a good inspiration for some stuff that's going to be happening in the book that I'm writing right now, which is Dark Soldier. I think I'll give the link to it in the description for the Facebook page. And I love how he tackles the mix of the urban and the fantasy. You'll see me doing stuff like his all the time, especially in my favorite work that I've ever done, even more than my own book, which was a short story called The Machine, which was I guess you could call it like a horror fantasy. It was a lot of fun writing, and I wanted to mix some like straight up Stephen King with Neil Gaiman, and The Machine is basically their love child. And I had a lot of fun with it. And so yeah, I try to incorporate stuff from my favorite authors all the time. And so obviously Neil Gaiman is going to be in there. Love you, Neil Gaiman. Very last one. What are your writing goals for this year? Oh boy. Like I said earlier, I'm going to try to finish my first book and get it published by this year, and that's a really exciting thing. I'm so stoked for that. I am going to try to start a prequel for The Machine, because a lot of people loved it. Actually, you know what? Because I keep mentioning it, I'm going to put a link to The Machine in the description along with the Facebook page for Dark Soldier, just because I love it so much. I want people to read it. It was a lot of fun. So thank you guys for bearing through the answers to all these crazy questions. Thank you guys so much. I hope to do another Q&A pretty soon. This was a lot of fun. I hope to be doing more one-on-one stuff with you guys. And if you liked the video, and if you want to see more stuff of mine, even though I was super tired for this one and tried my best to be enthusiastic and probably wasn't that enthusiastic, then give me a like, send a comment, and reblog or something on Tumblr, because I'm using Tumblr all the time. It's like my favorite social media right now. Right? Thank you guys so much. Love you guys. You're awesome. Good night, and Happy New Year.